All right, everybody, we're going to start with this worksheet that says the science of color mixing. We're going to be doing some color mixing today, and we're going to act kind of like an artist, but kind of like a scientist. So the reason why we call it the science of color mixing is because we're going to be mixing some new colors out of just a few colors. So we're going to be creating some new colors today by doing some mixing. So what I want you to start with is this worksheet right here, and put your name on the top. And then at your table, you're going to have a few things. You're going to have a tray with a water cup and a brush for yourself. You're going to have a palette. This is what we mix our paint on. And you're going to have a tray of a few colors of paint. So the first part of this worksheet says, mix 3 secondary colors. So the secondary colors are purple, orange, and green by only using the primary colors, red, yellow, and blue. So in this box, I'm going to mix orange. In this box, I'm going to mix green. And in this box, I'm going to mix purple. So to mix orange, the directions say use red and yellow to make orange. So what I'm going to do is take my paintbrush and my paint palette and the tray of paint at my table. I'm going to take a little bit of yellow, put it on my paint palette, just a tiny bit. And then I need to wash my brush off before I dip in any other colors. So I'm going to take my tray of paint, or my water cup tray, and wash all that yellow off. I don't want any more yellow on my brush, so wash it off and wipe it dry. No more yellow. So now I'm going to get a little bit of red from my paint tray and put it right next to the yellow. As soon as I have red and yellow, I'm going to start to mix those together. And hopefully I'll start to make a nice orange color. Now, if it looks a little bit too reddish, that means you need more yellow. If it looks too yellowish, that means you need more red. So keep mixing and mixing until you get the right color of orange. So when I think I have it, I'm going to go back to my worksheet and color this box in with just that orange color that I mixed. So just orange, fill the whole box in. Okay, now if I notice that looks a little bit too reddish, I can wash my brush off, get a little bit more yellow, and mix in a little bit more yellow into there. But I want to make sure I mix it up all the way so it's not streaky and it's a nice solid orange. Okay, now next I will mix green and purple. So the directions say use blue and yellow to make green and red and blue to make purple. So I'll do the same thing, wash my brush off, use my plastic palette and use the colors in my paint tray, red and blue to make purple, blue and yellow to make green. Okay, as soon as I finish orange, green, and purple, the secondary colors, we're going to be creating many values of one color. So the directions say start with the color blue and use blue plus white to make a lighter blue, use blue plus black to make a darker blue. So I'll take my brush, get a little bit of blue, and this box says just blue. So I'm just going to paint this box in with just the blue color, no mixing. And as soon as I finish the whole box, I'm going to try and make a light blue. So we know light blue means blue plus white. So I'll get my palette again. I'll take a little bit of blue, find a good spot, put it on my palette, wash my brush off. Make sure there's no more blue on there. And then I'll get a little bit of white. So I'll put the white next to the blue and I'll mix it up. And it should be making a nice light blue. So I'll fill that light blue in next to the blue box. So this is a light value of blue. It's a light blue. Okay. Now I need to do a dark blue. So dark blue means blue plus black. So I will find my blue on my palette again, put a little bit of blue, wash my brush off, then get a little bit of black, put it next to the blue. Now black is a very, very harsh dark color. So I don't need very much black to make this a dark blue, I just need a little bit. So as soon as I have just a tiny bit, I'll mix up the blue and the black, and it should be making a nice dark blue. So I'll use that dark blue to paint this whole box dark blue. Okay, so now I have 2 values of the same color, from light blue to dark blue. So it kind of fades from light to dark, kind of like we practice with our inventions, our 3D forms. Okay, Next, we're going to create 3 new colors here: gray, pink, and maroon. So to create gray, we're going to use black plus white. So again, I'm going to get my palette, get a little bit of black, put it on my palette, wash my brush off, get a little bit of white, put it next to my black, mix it up, and it should make a nice gray, a nice light value of dark. That means gray. I'm going to paint my whole box gray. Now pink. Pink is red plus white. Pink is just a light value of red. So I will take my palette again, get a little bit of red, and then I have to wash my brush off. Make sure you are washing your brushes every time. So make sure I go back to my brush, my water cup tray, get all that red off, wipe, wipe, wipe. Then I need a little bit of white next to my red. So I have red and white here. Now I'm going to mix them up, and I should be making a nice light pink. So pink is just a light value of red. So I'll paint in this whole box pink. Okay, now maroon. Maroon is red plus black. So I'll do the same thing. I'll mix up red plus black to paint my maroon. Now on the back of your worksheet, we have a little bit more complicated color mixing. We have 3 colors to mix here. So we're going to try and make brown. So brown is red, yellow, and blue all mixed together. So I'll take my palette again, get a little bit of red. Now every time I put a little dot on here, I have to go back and wash my brush off because I don't want to dip right in the yellow or the blue with that red brush. So wipe, dip, 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 wipe, 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 get all that red off. Then I can go back to my paint tray, get a little bit of yellow, put it next to the red. Again, wash my brush off, make sure there's no more yellow, and then get a little bit of blue and dip right on my palette next to the red and yellow. Now when I mix red and yellow and blue together, it should make a nice brown. So I'm going to mix these together. Now if it doesn't quite look brown enough, I might want to keep adding different colors to my pile and try and experiment with different red, yellow, and blue amounts to make this brown. So I think that looks pretty good. That's a nice brown. So I'll paint my whole box brown. Okay, on to the next box. Now we're going to try and make 4 colors mixed together to make a skin color. So a skin color, like a peachy or a tan, would be red, yellow, white, and brown. So on my palette again, find an open space. I'm going to use white, yellow, red, and a little bit of brown. Now, I've given you brown in your palette. I don't want you to use this brown for that box. You're going to mix your own brown. This brown is to just use for your skin color. So when I have white, yellow, red, and brown, mix them together, and it should make a nice tan color. Now, if it looks just a little bit too dark, that means you need a little bit more white. So just take a big glob of white and mix it in. So now I have a nice peachy tan color. Okay. Now I'm going to use this peachy tan color to make a darker skin color and a lighter skin color. So making my skin color lighter by adding some white. So taking that same pile of peach that I had, and to half of the pile I'm going to add some white to make it really, really light. So this is a lighter skin color because I've added more white. And then to the other half here, I'm going to add a little bit more brown to make it a darker skin color. So then I'll paint this box with that darker tan brown. Okay, so now I have many values of different skin colors here. All right, very last page on the back. This is, if you are done with your whole packet, this is a challenge color mixing. So I want you to try this if you're already done. So the directions say fill in the crystal with many values of one color to make it look 3D. So when we look at this crystal, all of the different sides of the crystal have different values. That's what makes it look like it's 3D. So I can choose any color that I want, and I'm going to make many values of that color. So if I don't have room on my palette, I can wash it off and get a new palette, or I can find some open space on this palette. So I think I'll just do blue again. I'm going to use blue, and I'm going to make many values of that blue. So I can mix blue and white to create a lighter blue and fill in some light blue areas. And then I can use that same pile of blue and white and add more white to make an even lighter blue. So now I have another value of blue, an even lighter value. I can use this light value for some areas. I can even just use the very dark blue to fill in an area. So now I have dark, I have medium, I have light. I can even add some black to that blue. So if I add a little bit of black to the blue, it's a very dark blue. So I can have a dark blue value on the side here. So when I finish painting this whole crystal, there will be really dark blues, medium blues, really light blues, and all these values of blues in between. So I'll finish painting the whole crystal with different values. Okay, we are done with our painting packet.